I know it's quite late in the evening, and I don't know whether many of you know us. Before I start the presentation, let me give you our introduction. Our company's name is Yotta. We came into existence 6 years back in 2019. We are essentially running large data center campuses in Mumbai and Delhi. These campuses can scale to literally gigawatts of power. And in these data center campuses, we host hyperscalers, we host enterprises, we host banks, we host governments, we host startups. That is one of the business we do, which is giving them space, power, cooling, and hosting all type of workloads in this scalable data center. But the more exciting part is, right from starting, we decided to build our own cloud instead of just becoming a reseller of a hyperscaler cloud. We actually built our cloud using open source technologies, putting our own engineering teams, developing it completely in-house. And because we had a sort of a view that in the emerging geopolitical ecosystem where every country is trying to be self-sufficient in their technology infrastructure, which is much beyond just data localization, it will be very important that India has a sufficient control on its mission-critical applications, its cloud infrastructure. And while we were diligently building it over 4 or 5 years, we actually got our audience, which was government. So today we are running on our own homegrown cloud, which is running in government's own data centers like NIC and STPI. Some of the most critical workloads, which are actually running millions and millions of transactions per day, are running on our cloud infrastructure, running in government data centers in our data center. That is second we do. And the third, which is the topic of today, which is something which came into existence just 2 years back into prominence, is on the global stage, we all started looking at AI coming into our consumer life instead of just remaining a B2B phenomena. ChatGPT came into our mobiles, right? And suddenly, when ChatGPT came into our lives, the whole narrative got built into Indian government corridors, as well as into the industry corridors like NASSCOMs and all. Oh, India has lagged behind. US has gone so ahead, China has gone ahead, many countries have gone ahead in AI. What is India doing? We were exporting software and services for last 3 decades. We were the champions. We have got mathematics champions, we have got engineering champions, science champions, but we have lagged behind in AI. So what do we do? Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, came into India, met the Prime Minister around August 23, and they conversed that while India has got everything, and NVIDIA want India to be successful, obviously Jensen is from Taiwan, they have a common enemy with India. So they thought that India can potentially be a very large market given our mobile penetration, e-commerce penetration, and everything which is good about India. But what India requires, besides startup skill sets, engineering talent, and GCCs, is compute. Unless India has got extremely large quantity and high quality of GPU compute in India, you cannot really achieve a big AI dream which India is aspiring for. That is where government thought, NVIDIA thought, who can be potential aspirants to build that? Reliance name come as natural, Tata came as natural. The third name which came into their thought was Yotta. Simply because I was running very large data center campuses with power scale cooling was done. We were running our own cloud services. We were running managed services. So they thought if Yotta can come forward, they have all these capabilities, they have reasonable amount of money backing as well. If they can invest into GPUs and create this GPU infrastructure in India, India can have that AI backbone which India requires. That is the backbone, that is the background of Shakti Cloud, our cloud which we have built for GPUs, which we have built for AI services, we called it Shakti Cloud. So giving you some more introduction about what Shakti Cloud is. Shakti Cloud is India's largest and fastest AI cloud. And while on the world scale, we talk about hyperscalers having maybe 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh of GPUs, which is huge infrastructure which come into prominence there. But the moment you take out the first 4 or 5 large hyperscalers, after that, the largest player who might have GPUs in the world may be around 30,000, 25,000. So if you see from that measure, with around 16,000 of top-end NVIDIA GPUs like Hopper H100s and now putting in B200 Blackwell GPUs, is one of the largest GPU compute capacity in the world. And what is something which we have put in in India in our own data centers, 8,000 of H100 GPUs, 8,000 of B200 getting put in, which is the latest series of NVIDIA GPUs. Mainly what we are doing, you can call us as an NVIDIA shop, because we were the first one to dare. NVIDIA has put in their complete future destiny for India behind us, their complete engineering strength, their entire GTM strength. Everybody is working hand in hand with us for the last 2 years. And we are following a complete NVIDIA product roadmap. as we are getting more and more demand in India, whether it's global people coming in and building their training their models in India on our GPUs, or whether through India AI Mission, government is trying to concentrate AI requirements, asking startups to build large language models like servums. Because of this market growth happening, we are also trying to, buckle up and trying to invest more and more and bringing in the latest GPUs. The second part is that it's not just GPU boxes. We are following NVIDIA reference architecture. What does it mean? If you have to train a model like ChatGPT, or for that matter, LLM, which India is making, these hundreds and thousands of GPUs have to interconnect, every GPU working with each GPU. Only then they create as what we call a supercluster, supercomputer, and only that training can happen. So you require something called this inter-GPU InfiniBand connectivity. You also require a specialized storage so that the data can be fed to GPUs in real time for that training needs. And this all technology, which is like combinedly, we call it NVIDIA reference architecture, we have put in. And that is why we are able to literally train the largest of the LLM. It's just to give you the idea of scale again. ChatGPT was trained on about 12,800 GPUs. What Servam is building in, the LLM which Servam is building in on our GPUs is almost on the same scale. And we can handle training of 3 similar models at the same time. That is the capacity we have put in. And yes, the third point is, it is not just GPUs. Every single software stack which is required to make these GPUs usable for you. So whether you want to use raw GPUs as bare metal or clusters and want to develop train models yourself, put in the entire software stack yourself, or whether you just want to use some model like Llama or any other model, just want to put in your data, fine-tune it, attach a RAG, and then want to start attaching it to your application, the entire stack of software which is required to enable you to do those functionality is something available in our Shakti cloud. And of course, last part is, which is also required, that once you are putting in GPUs, these consume megawatts and megawatts of power. So right from day one, because we come from data center background, this GPU infrastructure is hosted in our Tier 4 data center in Mumbai, which is one of the world's largest data center. And good part is 80% of this data center actually is fed by green energies, which is combination of solar, wind, and hydro. You may be finding me overdoing and trying to sell myself, but there's a reason for that. Because so many times, the quality comes associated with a hyperscale cloud operator. The moment you talk about a local operator, you suddenly feel there might be some cost cutting and some quality cutting. My reason of overdoing and explaining you all this is just to give you assurance that a cloud GPU infrastructure, far, far better than what is available in most of the hyperscalers in India for sure, is something which is already there in India, on which most of the models are getting trained. So if you see this first table, we are among the only 6 most premium partners of NVIDIA in the world. Of course, in the whole of APAC, we are the only one. And you can see the other names who are associated with us. NVIDIA latest brought a software called Lepton. They acquired this company called Lepton, and now they are going to use this as a standard sort of a software orchestration layer. They are creating a sort of federated cloud across the world of 50,000 plus GPUs, which will be the reference architecture for everybody. We have become the first partner in the whole of APAC to adopt that software. In fact, when you hear about Servam training their large language model, they are training it on 4,000 GPUs given by Yotta, and that entire cluster actually is using that Lepton software. In fact, it's just by chance that 2 days back, NVIDIA formally announced it. This is something which is very old news, but NVIDIA formally announced about we being the first sovereign AI infrastructure following their technology in India, just 2 days back. This is something which we have done additionally. We were working on this for last 1 year. So while on one hand, we have built this Shakti cloud, put in all the software stack which NVIDIA has to offer, put in our own internal development capabilities on that so that you can use these GPUs for making your models and training and putting them for inferencing. But there was a second stage. Is that good enough? This space is evolving. Can we also partner with the people who have done it in the best possible way? And that is where this Microsoft partnership came in. And Microsoft also was looking at, given the way they saw that government of India, which is a major driver of AI in India, were looking for a sovereign AI cloud, something which is in the control of Indians and not really a foreign cloud operator. We were looking, I think both the parties, Yotta and Microsoft, were looking for a combination where the cloud is owned and operated by an Indian cloud operator who has got the best of the infrastructure, which is Yotta, but we also bring the best AI technology, the best AI models from the person who is a leader, which is Microsoft. So that is where this combination has come in. So today, if you are a Microsoft shop, you are happy with Azure AI models, anything and everything which is available in Azure's ML Studio or AI Foundry, but you also want to run because of data residency norms or because of norms of government want you to run it in a, for example, an Indian cloud operator, you have the best combination. Use Microsoft technologies, Azure technologies, but run into an Indian GPU cloud operator. This is something I was talking about. I think most of you must be reading because Economic Times and many papers are covering IndiaAI Mission almost every second day. You keep on hearing so many people have got empaneled. Fundamentally, what government of India is doing, because they knew it's a costly affair, they are actually empaneling people like us that you guys invest into AI GPUs, you guys invest into millions of dollars and put us a rate card for us on a cloud model. How will you give your GPUs? On the other hand, we will go to the startups and enterprises and everybody, and we'll tell them, go and consume the services of Yotta, and government will pay the bill, or government will pay 50% of the bills. You know, that is how government is enabling a supplier ecosystem like us, but also enabling the end users, putting money in their pocket so that the whole AI ecosystem can grow. Now, this was the biggest project which government is doing to enable AI ecosystem in India, and they have got a lot of facets of this. How government enables compute capacity, how government ensures that data sets are available easily to everybody, how do they fund startups, how do they create skill sets. You know, there are 7 pillars of that. But key point here you can see here is that because of the scale at which we were operating and government was aware about that, today when you are hearing in papers that 34,000 GPUs have been committed to government for IndiaAI Mission for usage of the Indian startups, almost 18,000 of those GPUs have been given by Yotta, and that is how this first LLM, which is in India is being built, which is Sarvam, is actually running on our GPU. Is the model, as we speak, is getting trained on our GPUs. These are some additional, I would like just to tell this, we feel very proud of what we are doing. So first one is obviously I talked about Sarvam. The second is we have some very use cases, one in GCC, the second on the top right is actually the case of a GCC. This is the healthcare GCC where they are running their drug discovery platform with lots of AI models behind that. They have a GCC, their office in Pune. They are using almost 1,000 GPUs from us, and they are one of the most successful, commercially successful GCC operating out of Pune. Their main office is in Switzerland, but this is a success story for us. The third is Deloitte, where we have been working with them for quite a lot of time, where they're using our platform in turn to build AI agents and models and applications for their end customer. And in the fourth box, I have not put the name, but I can talk about it. When you talk about Zoho using a lot of AI in all their apps now, is actually running on Shakti Cloud. When you hear that Infosys has developed financial services AI model behind their Finacle product, it's actually on Shakti Cloud. And when you obviously hear IIT Bombay through their Bharajan project or IIT Madras doing through their AI for Bharat project, building lots of models, it's actually happening on Yotta Shakti Cloud. This is our latest achievement, and I would say the most proud of this. As a country, I feel that one successful AI model which has come into India at a UPI scale, which I call it, is Bhashini, which is language translation. I think most of you must have used Bhashini either on a web or on mobile. Bhashini was facing lots of challenges, but everything, including Prime Minister's real-time, his speeches, real-time translations happen through Bhashini. It is very, very critical for government. All the Aadhaar validations and everything, or if government website has to be converted into any language in real time, all that thing happened in Bhashini. They were facing a lot of challenges. As we speak, last week we actually migrated Bhashini completely out of a hyperscaler's cloud to Yotta's cloud, and you can just see that inferencing request on Bhashini, which was less than 2 million per day, has already crossed 13 million per day in last week. So it is, I would say, is a fantastic example of a population scale AI inferencing platform doing lots of transactions, because most of the government applications which are using AI, they actually have got a plugin to Bhashini. They are using Bhashini's language translation services. And all those backend AI models and services are running on our platform. So just to give you an idea, I would get into too much of detail, but just wanted to give you that there's a lot of, you will not find these type of details when you talk to hyperscalers, because these are the things which are always abstract. You only see the front layer. But there's a big technical architecture behind this Shakti Cloud, where these GPUs are connected, everything to each other. It's a huge setup. I can invite you. You can come and physically visit our data center in Mumbai and see this entire supercluster which is implemented out there. And the way this structure has been, architecture has been put in, it is all NVIDIA engineering. that tomorrow, even if I had to create a super cluster of 16,000 GPUs all working together, and these are much high-powered GPUs than the GPUs on which ChatGPT was trained, so you can even have the potential to train a model which can have multi-trillion parameters as well. We have, and when I'm saying we along with NVIDIA's engineering team have actually tested these infrastructure on the best performance benchmarks, right? When we deliver these GPU clusters, we actually run it for almost like 3 weeks on testing before we release it for any customer models. And these are performing at the topmost global benchmarks. And these are all results are all available publicly. This obviously is running in our data center in Mumbai, I just said. So we are taking care of this also, that I am all in control of the backend infrastructure also. And most of this is green data center. The key part is, today I feel, 1 year back, people used to say, 4,000 GPUs you have implemented, are you foolish? India does not require this. Today, when I've implemented 16,000, people say, oh, India requires possibly 10 times than this. So in 2 years, the scale of Indian aspirations have changed. So we have ensured that because the data center is in my control, it's owned by me, tomorrow, even if I have to put millions of GPUs, I can scale the power infrastructure to run this, because I somehow feel that VR is our responsibility. A whole lot of Indian AI aspirations actually depend on this campus now. This is our entire software stack. It is not just GPUs you can see on the below layer, but if you see on the above layer, to manage and make these GPUs work for you, either you are doing a regular development work using some Jupyter notebook, or whether you're doing a serious model training, or whether you're putting models for a large-scale inferencing, you will need this entire software layer. You can see this entire software layer, majority of that provided by NVIDIA, many of which developed by us or using our startups. And on the top of this, you are getting the end products which you can use to build and put your models for inferencing. These are all, I know that majority of you must be using maybe OpenAI models, you must be using their APIs, and I can just imagine that you must be paying through the nose, right? Because these all comes at a huge cost. Majority of the data may be going to territories which you don't want them to go. It's your choice, but all those models or equivalent models are available. These are all NVIDIA's managed models. They call that they use every model, fine-tune it, performance optimize it, put that into something, they call it NIMs, and then these NIMs are made available on our platform. So tomorrow, the same functionality which you want to achieve using OpenAI APIs or any other model which you are using, you can actually have same functionalities, same models, similar models from Yotta Shakti Cloud, and you can consume any one of them. Almost all type of functionalities you can see are available in Yotta Shakti Cloud. Quickly coming, I'll just need 2-3 minutes, sorry. Quickly coming on GCCs, and I think I don't need to re-emphasize which I think is being discussed right in the morning. You already have gone from 2010 to just do a basic IT outsourcing to the stage where you are today, where you're doing the actual complete P&L ownerships in India, or doing deep tech work, making a whole lot of AI POCs in India. You're doing a whole lot of work. That evolution has already happened. And that is why possibly my relevance here when I'm talking to you about this becomes more and more important, because what is happening that while you are using India for AI proof of concept, you are using your skill set and your brain in India, but what you are not doing in India is you are not creating full platforms, you are not using the underlying compute platform in India, you are not making India as a complete SaaS delivery center where the entire AI capability is there in India with you and through which you can serve the entire rest of the world. And that is where the gap is, and I think that mainly is happening that, okay, India is a good source, great skill sets, great people, they know that, but somewhere there's a perception that India possibly might not have the best infrastructure, it might not have the right data center, it might not have high-end GPUs, it might not have, even US government had put some restrictions on GPUs being available to the rest of the world, diffusion law, even that is gone. But I think these are the perceptions which sometimes may hinder in your decision to outsource these things from India. But as I said, the fact is that in AI world, if you again follow what is happening in the AI world, NVIDIA and in many platforms say, while the general compute era belongs to hyperscalers, the AI compute era belongs to some people called neo-clouds. These are the people worldwide. We are from India, but there are people in US, there are people some other part of the world, right, who actually have made GPU-specific cloud. They have invested into GPUs, they have invested into NVIDIA technology, they have invested into NVIDIA reference architecture, and because they're focused on what they're doing on large scale, they have brought the prices down. What you will consume from hyperscaler, let's say at $10, you possibly will get it at $3. So you are getting much higher quality, but at a much reduced cost long-term TCO, and that is what neo clouds are promising to do. On the right side, this was a surprise to me also when this report got released just a few days back, that we are appearing on the topmost quadrant of this report of where various neo clouds are placed. This, I think, is my last slide, and this is something which is showing one of the entire concern which you guys may have is, can you have best of both worlds? Of course, you cannot maybe buy GPU boxes in bulk. It consumes huge capex, and of course, the return is not certain, so you might not want to invest that much of capital, right? But at the same time, because of your compliance reasons, you want that you should have an isolated, fully compliant solution. So how do you make this balance between your need to go for a cloud solution from an economics point of view, but also have a complete compliance to your norms? And this is a requirement which, actually one of the requirements which came to us just 2 weeks back, not from a GCC, but from a government body which you can imagine, which will require the highest level of security without naming it, right? And they said, Sunil, we want a complete air gap solution. You cannot touch the internet. You cannot touch any other customer. So the way we actually designed the solution, and that is how this customer is getting onboarded with us, is while the GPU layer where the processing is happening, that is common, and we are able to make a logical segregation for the customers there, but we are able to create a storage layer which is completely independent, even physically independent in a cage with cameras focusing on this, and also the firewall and security layer on the top of that. We can obviously talk about this in much more detail, but the point is that not only you can have highest quality GPU infrastructure for your AI, but you also can ensure using this solution that these solutions are compliant to your global needs. This is my final slide. It is actually summing up what I'm trying to say, that for your needs, I understand possibly you may not want to put a final model which is trained into India because you are serving a different geography and there may be data localization norm. For the geographies where data localization norms are not there, you can very well put in your models and applications in India and you can serve from India. But for geographies where, like in Europe, you have GDPR and all, no problem. You can train the models here. You can work on that, fine-tune feature engineering, putting guardrails. You can do all that work from India. But ultimately, the model become ultimately put into a container, and that container you can put in anywhere in the world. So once you are done, what I would urge you is that you can put in your dev work, you can work your testing work, you can work your UAT work. In many cases, you can do your full model training work. I have seen those instances of global people coming and training their model on me. So put all that with us, but once the model is trained, you don't need to put that model for inferencing in India. You can very well put into the geography wherever you want to do. So that is what my net message is. There is the highest quality infrastructure available in India, on par and many times better than hyperscalers. This will be available at a much lower cost. The entire variety of services which you want, software services, to consume it on a cloud model is available with you, which is fitting to your budget. You just need to come out, be aware that the solution is available with us, and please talk to us. Thank you so much.